Hey guys, my name is Sky. This is Chantal, and we are the Women Healing Naturally podcast. This is episode 7, and we are going to be talking about the truth about GLP-1s. Hey Chantal.
I love. How are you?
I'm good. I'm actually very excited about this topic because it's kind of everywhere. If you're online, you cannot miss it. I mean, friends, family, people we know talking about it, whether they're using it or not. And yeah, so let's get into it. What is a GLP-1, Chantel?
So, GLP-1 is a hormone, and it's basically created from fiber and peptides into the gut. So, it naturally is something that our body makes so that we can utilize it to basically make the body feel satisfied. It's like a message that goes from the gut to the brain. Now, in a normal person, we all make it. Okay, we all make
Yeah,
GLP. In a normal person, this lasts a couple of minutes, so it's a very short-lived thing when we.
interesting.
But when, but now, what they found is that what if we prolonged this hormone so that people don't have hunger or they don't have that food noise, they stop thinking about food. It kind of, in a way, stops the receptors to the brain for dopamine. So in a way, there's no joy. You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
eat because you have to eat, but you don't crave things. It stops the craving. It stops the dopamine hit. So in diabetes, this was a drug that was experimented to try and stop people from overeating so they could lose fat and therefore reduce their A1C, reduce their diabetes, even reverse it. But and now it's become a little bit mainstream. So what we are finding now is that GLP-1s like Ozempic are being sold to people. Okay, if a doctor is wise, which most doctors are, they will not prescribe it just to anybody. So that's not the problem. There are a couple of problems into all the things, but there is the GLP-1s, which the doctors would give to their patients for diabetes, for obesity, to help them. They really need the help.
Hmm.
Sometimes this happens though without the lifestyle and the things that need to go with it, or understanding what these GLP-1s also can do, because again, they stop a lot of receptors from hormones. We don't, hormones, you can play with any hormone. They have a knock-on effect in the body. So when you stop one thing, you can trigger other things. So
Yeah.
not you have to really look at the full picture. But then what's happening now is that they have a lot of antagonists in the black market. So people that don't need GLP-1s are getting them to lose weight, which is
Yes.
triggering more eating disorders. And we have seen now this, return of the heroin chic look, where everybody looks emancipated, like
Yeah.
emaciated, really thin. All the models we were moving in the right direction, but now we're going backwards. The models, the celebrities, they're all looking really, really thin. People that were thin before, because some of them have been going on GLP-1s, which they didn't need to begin with.
Okay. You actually already fed into something else we can talk about as well, and that is this black market of peptides. But I think so. When I was thinking about this conversation, I'm in two minds about it, and you brought up both things when you said it, and that is that there's people who are extremely overweight. That have been struggling for years. They have this food noise. Like I know for me, if I feel I need to lose a couple of kilos, it can feel overwhelming. It's a lot of work. I can't imagine people who have been born into families, their epigenetics has placed them in this situation where all they know things about weight. And they say about people who are overweight is they know more about how many calories are in food, what they should be doing. They don't know where to start. And there's these people who are now having children that are getting rid of like 15 like lifestyle diseases, and they're maintaining it. But then there's this flip side where there's all these influencers and people who are in front of us. Now, this is where the brain comes in twofold, right? Is our perception of what is accepted in the beauty standards is changing without us being aware. And this anhedonia, which is numbing people who are taking it, they're not like, people might go, oh, my addictions are better, but a lot of people are just saying, I live life flat now. I don't feel love. I don't feel like I want anything. So it's playing into like the brain. But I think it's really important we classify here to two schools of people. The thing about these black market ones that's coming up a lot. So there's a new one called retatrutide, which they call Retta. And so this is now acting on 3 pathways in the body. Some people are finding it better, but this is what happens with drugs, right? They're going to start acting on more and more pathways. So I really like, when I think about GLP-1s, is when they first come out, and a lot of people like, people are cheating, blah, blah, blah. I've seen that people in extreme circumstances are getting great results. And then there's these people who are just using it for aesthetics. Where do we go from here? Like this, like to me, this is like, last year was like a $52 billion market. Like,
Yeah,
where do you see this all going?
oh, this is gonna definitely go higher than that. No, and it's not gonna stop anytime soon. But what I see that I'm really confident about is that doctors are starting to say, and like to see good doctors, okay, especially for women,
Yeah.
and especially for women that are struggling with weight as they enter perimenopause, postmenopause, and so on, and they want to go or need to go on GLP-1s. The doctors are very careful. So the doctors that are mindful, what they're doing right now is, let's calculate your BMI. Let's see if you're a candidate. That's the first thing, right? So they will check if they're candidates, and then they will check their bone score. So they do the DEXA scan to see what bone density they're at, because you need metrics now to measure. The one thing that I didn't say before is, with GLP-1s, you don't lose weight by just losing fat. In fact, you don't really lose fat only per se, mostly. You lose a lot of muscle mass. So the scale goes down quicker because muscle is heavier than fat.
Yeah.
But the problem is, if you're losing muscles, now you are also in an age where you're already prone to osteoporosis and osteopenia, and therefore and sarcopenia, which then is augmented by taking these GLP-1s. And so you're losing muscle loss and bone loss. So if you're not having a plan and you don't have a doctor that tracks that, that is a problem. So doctors that are very good doctors will check your DEXA scan, you see the starting point, they will give you a lifestyle. Also, because with these GLP-1s, it's not that sometimes, yeah, it's not that you eat less, sometimes you're just not hungry. So you might eat a lot less, if at all. And the problem is, again, we are in an age here that, and any time is bad not to eat, but unless you're on a conscious fast. But you have people that are not consuming enough protein and not consuming enough good carbs, and they're not like vegetables, they're not consuming enough good fats. So now they are going to be also deficient and depleted. So a good doctor will also do a plan on how to make sure you're maximizing your nutrients intake, how to make sure that you're eating. Maybe you have to eat several times a day, a little bit, just to make sure that you get enough. And tracking. So you go back after a month and you do your DEXA scan again to see where you at with your muscle loss. You also have to have a workout plan, right? You need to start really working seriously on lifting weights to make sure that you're keeping the bone density going by muscle maxing. But you have to eat, right? You can't do it without food. So a good doctor will really do a whole program for their patients, not just be like, here, this is your prescription, go and get the shot. It really doesn't work like that way. So we are seeing that good shift happening. We are also, however, seeing, because of the black market, you have people that are going to take it without a prescription, and they don't understand the consequences of this. They are, especially because consequences can be straightforward, but immediately, but they can also be long term, right?
100%. And it makes me think about, so I've had my stomach and the top portion of my digestive tract removed, and it delays stomach emptying. And that's that in itself is a huge problem. And it's also, then you've got young people who drink, and then that's a huge problem. What are some of the problems that come about from taking a GLP-1? Whether doesn't matter, what size you are, what are some of the problems?
So this is one of the things, definitely the muscle loss. So that's a big one. It can change your microbiome. Therefore, again, It changes your microbiome because people are not eating enough fiber,
Mm-hmm.
because they're not eating enough, and therefore now you are not going to your digestive system is going to be compromised, and your bacteria is not going to make the short chain fatty acids like butyrate that we need for the brain to work, for the body to work. It has side effects that have been reported. People reported side effects from Manjaro and from Ozempic, mostly Ozempic, in this, even in like vision loss, for example, kidney issues. Like they have reported so many issues in general, like constipation or diarrhea, like digestive issues in general. So you have something that, as I said at the beginning, the pathway is not just one. Now you're talking about a hormone that talks to the brain. And when the thing about the drinking is with GLP-1s, you do lose every addiction actually.
Yes.
Yeah, so people that maybe are drinking, if they take it, they might not want to drink anymore.
Yeah.
So that is a positive one. The problem is that with that goes like not wanting to do many more things. You know, no, like I do not know yet. I haven't seen the research, but they are still investigating, I guess. But there might be a connection to depression. You know, you're just flatlined in your dopamine level, so you might trigger long term this inability to feel any joy, to feel anything, which of course can make people depressed. Right now you're working with the chemical structure of your brain, and so those are things that we're going to see more and more if people take it recklessly. Taken wisely, taken with a doctor that is following you, making sure you eat enough, making sure you work out, making sure you sleep well. To be honest with you, it can be done fantastically. There are very, very good doctors that use it. They use it on their patients, and I know a couple of doctors that use it themselves. Because
Yeah.
one of the positive things about this is the food noise goes away. And if you are someone that is really struggling with that food noise,
Yeah.
that going away can clear so much space in your mind that if your doctor guides you to do it properly, do it with the right protocol, you can really thrive, you know, because now that noise that was torturing you is gone.
Yeah. Like I don't sit on the fence. I like to see both sides of a story, but with anything in life. But with this, I really like I'm in two minds just because society is so sick. What do you think? So when I think about any medications, is they're pushed out within at least a 5-year period, right? We've got no extensive testing, and I think I've been on a lot of medications, and for me, one that it's only coming to light now that the long-term effects of something that's pushed so much, like antidepressants, was never studied, right? And my biggest concern is, and I think because I think modern medicine is especially so brilliant for people who are getting towards near death, where their mobility rate is getting quite high, right? And this is what we're talking about can really serve, or people are starting, because when you get into things like menopause, is you start to notice you've got constant issues, and no matter what you try, and then with head noise, you just can't get out of it. So it does help. But my concern is we don't know the long-term effects of any of these drugs. And is there any way, like people talk about increasing protein, making sure every meal, and I like that I can see now fiber maxing, that sounds so much better than protein only. It's really important for people that, and berberine, these things can help people, or do you think we need the drug and risk these long-term effects?
As I said, I think for the general person that is a little bit overweight and needs to understand how to eat properly, you don't need to go on these drugs. And I'd rather say we can make GLP-1s, so we need to learn the strategies to make it, which is generally fasting really, really helps. 13 hours to 17 hours fast would really, really help in making your own, not having the effects of the GLP-1, meaning you are not going to be hungry, right? You cut hunger when you are into ketosis anyway, and when you are doing your fast. But then fiber is really important. And now this is the thing with fiber maxing, it makes me laugh because it's great that the message is out there, but people are just so not, when something becomes like a headline and it's
I agree.
commercial, or do like the whole, social media fiber maxing thing, sometimes I'm like, honestly, if you haven't done any fiber before the fiber maxing and you go in with all sorts of stuff, I mean, you're in for an explosion, from farts to diarrhea or constipation or both, and then some. And then you're gonna blame the fiber, when actually, if you haven't had fiber before, don't go and have 45 grams of fiber a day. Like, that's reckless, and it's
Yeah.
not gonna help. Your intestine. So if you have dysbiosis, you are less likely to make GLP-1 naturally at the amounts, not the amounts, but like at regularity that makes any sense. Like, you're just gonna feel sick. So the point is that we need to teach people how to eat so that they can benefit from these natural hormones that occur into our body. Leptin and ghrelin are two hormones too that will tell you when you're hungry and when you're full. And so working with them and understanding, what do we need for that? We need fiber. We need to regulate our blood glucose in a way that the energy goes into the cells at a pace that it makes sense for the body, not in like rushing everything in, and then with like these processed foods, and then being like, oh, I'm not gonna eat because I'm gonna take GLP-1, so I'm not gonna be hungry. You're going from 0 to 100 in the most negative way possible. So I don't know what's going on today. The animals are really loud.
They want a party.
That's outside. There's a dog that is going crazy. Yeah. And so basically, yeah, you have these you have to understand how to regulate your body. Like, that's so important. So education, like our podcasts online about nutrition, about how to eat, about getting a coach, getting a dietitian, getting a nutritionist, like, get help to learn how to eat, because that should also be the first line of defense anyway, not the GLP-1. And if a good doctor, I would say, would follow the patient for a long time to understand if that's the only option they have, and then try to just work with them first on all other aspects and say, okay, you know what, you do need a little extra nudge. Let's go on the GLP-1 for a while and let's see how we do, because you tried everything and the food noise is too much, or you've tried everything and you're just not losing weight. There is a lot to play. So the first thing, really, any trend, don't go into trends. Make sure you're like rational. Like, okay, I haven't had fiber ever. I'm eating pizza and ice cream every day. I go to McDonald's 5 times a week. So do I want to go and have like a whole bunch of starches on top of it? People, especially people that do the fiber maxing, and then they might find raw, right? And they go straight into raw. Like, the chances of going wrong are very high, because raw food requires a microbiome that is stable. If you have like already a very sensitive digestive system, you're going to be reactive to this. Even salad can give you problems, like leaves. So you have to understand how to eat properly and do it properly and do it all the time so that it becomes easier for the digestive system. But you need to start with little amounts. So it's a process. Really, it's a process, and that to me is education is the first thing. Like, really guiding people, making sure that they understand what's going on with their body. And when you have doctors that perhaps deal with obesity, that's their job, that's their expertise, but they don't do nutrition well, that can be a challenge, right? Like, you can prescribe the drugs and they know in theory about nutrition, but in that case, if you're going to on GLP-1s, your doctor's not guiding you, then you need to also see a dietitian, and preferably somebody that is plant-based, like Brenda Davis.
What you're saying, I believe, doesn't just apply to GLP-1s. I think that doctors are prescribing cholesterol medication, diabetic medication, antidepressant medication, all of these, without ever addressing the fact that the person isn't moving, the person hasn't addressed their diet. And so we go in now and there's all these lifestyle diseases. And so there was this body positivity movement, right? now, and it's like, we are this way, this disease is me, you know, I can't help it. All of these people now are online, all these diseases have gone, their eating is under control, and it, you know, as a society, these drugs are kind of driving the narrative, really. As well, as we can see, we've gone from curves to being really, really skinny. But at the foundation, no matter what medication you try to go on, and we're moving like raw and plant-based aside here, if you've never addressed the fact that you're drinking, smoking, eating processed food, and you have cholesterol, I am cholesterol, I have high cholesterol, my mum had high cholesterol, and I guess that's good that we're pulling back the curtain, that GLP-1s revealing that you aren't this disease. But what I see, that's the epidemic, is, you know, drugs are amazing for people who are doing everything right, and there's these genetic weaknesses which are so strong that even when they're trying, it's not shifting. And I mean, how do we get into a mindset to help that as a society?
Because sometimes it's not, yeah, as a society, yes, the mindset needs to shift from, let's take the silver bullet or try to find one, and actually learn mechanisms and truly take responsibility, and, you know, make baby steps and seek help and so on. That is the general shift. When it comes to a person that has been put on GLP-1s by the doctors because they really tried everything and nothing works, or the food noise is too loud, the compassion here comes with the fact that they actually really have tried everything, and it's not a mindset problem for them. It really isn't. It's a chemical problem. So GLP-1 will stop the craving, it will stop the hunger, you know, and in the meantime, they have the opportunity, however, to learn how to eat properly. That's the important part, because whilst you don't have the food noise and the cravings, and you don't feel like having, you know, having the food that you normally have, the opportunity now is to teach you how to eat, you know. So going back to how to take in the fiber, how to fast, how to feast, both, and how to move away from food that maybe have contributed to them not having a regulation with ghrelin and leptin. So there's no chemical messaging that tells you you're hungry or you're full. Like a lot of people just eat because it's 12 o'clock and society tells you that's lunchtime, you know?
Yeah.
So I think there is an opportunity here to educate the people that are on, need to learn, and they needed to stop that noise. But equally, as a society, because of how social media shares things and bombards us with messages, I said, why do we have a black market of these peptides? That's crazy. Like, who and why do people buy them? And on top of it, by the way, I need to actually caveat that a lot of them don't have anything in them that is good or at all. So it could be a complete placebo you're paying for, even if you even receive it. There was a study done by a university where they actually ordered different peptides from the black market. And when they got it, they tested them. Sometimes they didn't even arrive. When they did arrive, they tested them. Some of them didn't even have what they said they had in it. So, you know, there is that, like, wasting money to follow a trend, wasting money to find a shortcut. Hello, you want to be on TV?
Hello.
This is the naughty one.
Join the talk.
Yes.
What do you say to people who, because I mean, we both sit in the raw food space, where if you aren't getting the healing, you need to work harder. So if and I just want to say something else on this. So, you know, you need to cleanse more, fast more, water fast, fruit fast, juice fast, whatever fast. That's you know, that's what you need to do. There's no drug that can replace that. That's what we should be doing. And I saw somebody post online on Facebook, who I know has done extensive raw foods, longer than I have. I think like 150 days on watermelon juice or juice. Like, I mean, long term.
Do you remember this person?
Sorry?
Do you remember the name of this person?
Oh yeah, I don't want to bring it up here. But this person has always put the weight back on, right? And now they're on a GLP-1 and it's changed their life. as in like the thing like they keep saying is the noise. I'm getting on with my day. I feel energized, like, and they're very excited. They feel energized on the one that they're using. And so I kind of, what are your thoughts on people who are going to say, if you're not getting the results, you don't take a drug, you need to, do some sort of cleanse? What are your thoughts first on that?
I mean, I don't love that we say cleansing for everything, because that's also that, that has led a lot of people to eating disorders. Like, I've seen it online, I've seen it in my practice, where it's like cleansing, and it's like, hold on a second, can we just step it back? Sometimes you're stressing your body more with these crazy cleanses than just understanding how to feed your body, because a cleanse can become just another noise. It's more stress, it's more fixation. And it really depends on the people, like on the person, because if you look at your case, Sky, even you have to adapt and modify your protocols all the time, because your body is just trying. A normal person that has the stomach not removed, a general person that doesn't have that removed, would be able to have different elements, different food at the same time, and digest them in a very different way, in an efficient way, right? So it goes into small intestine after it's broken down by the stomach, and you absorb your nutrients there. It goes into your large intestines for things to get out. And that is a normal process. Now, for you, your body is like, okay, I cannot tolerate too many things at the same time. So you're gonna have to shift. Sometimes you have some of this, then your body gets used to it. It's like, I need something else, give me something else. And so you are very aware of what your body needs, because your body will tell you, your immune system will trigger, your nervous system will trigger, and you have to change. This is for a person that is healing. These modalities make a lot of sense, because you are trying to really work with what your body's telling you, because you cannot do the same thing and get results. In a person that has a real healing journey from a very intense ailment or ailments, that is necessary. And I don't even call your protocols cleanses. I just call them adaptations.
I would call them adaptations as well. The more we adapt, and I promote that most of all through what I do.
Yeah. And so that makes a lot of sense. And this is how I look at it. You modify the protocol to see what the person needs. And then there is the person that doesn't have, like, the healing could be, I need to reverse a disease like lupus or whatever. And you can do a protocol. Oh, it's not working, I'm going to go deeper into this. But like, sometimes if it's not working, maybe you need to step it back a little bit instead of going deeper into something, because the body's maybe like, okay, you are actually torturing me, and I cannot pick this up. So we need to readjust, we need to modify. And sometimes, yes, sometimes when you are say you have a regenerative protocol, like Dr. Morse's does a lot of, you get to a point where you can have a healing crisis. And so something is just stopped working, you're having your healing crisis, you're having all these reactions. Basically, your symptoms are coming back twice as bad. And that is just 1 or 2 weeks. So you will know if that's a healing crisis because of the longevity of the crisis. And then you can continue a little bit longer to reset the body. So with that, fine, you can extend the cleanse and you can go deeper into it. And you can do even a 365 days cleanse, sure. And people have done it. People have done juicing cleanses for 365 days and then some. And they feel great. My question is always, and they generally do it well, where they learn how to stop the juicing and then adding the food again. I want to also say, a lot of people go into juices or cleanses, and some of them, they will do it to reverse disease. A lot of them will do it, for weight, whatever it is. There is a launch pad for these protocols where your body is just totally reacting to them positively or quickly. And you plateau. The plateau is not because you're failing. And this is where I want to make sure people are like, I need to go quick, I need to go more and more. Plateaus are not failures. Plateaus is the body keeping you alive and safe. Because imagine that you're just going to steep run down the hill until you get to the bottom without brakes on. What happens? You know?
Yeah, adaptation is something I've definitely I even know, because I can only get for periods a lot of celery and cucumber juice down. So one of these is still going to be, depending on how much cucumbers in there, up to 400 calories, right? When you first go on this, your body's so used to it, like, can I get this through? Speeding, this is what I imagine is going on. Speeding it through, getting what I can, but it's very stressed, right? Once it's a calm situation, it will pull calories from celery. And that's, the body adapts. And I think what you're saying is really important. I just want to bring up a comment which is very common. So feeling healthy, Healthy Life has said, GLP-1 is an easy, quick, lazy fix with major side effects and damaging the body. Watch The Simpsons, everybody. Just going to get fat again.
I think to reply to this one. I don't see the comment.
Oh, no, it's because it's over on Instagram. So we will not see the comments come up on our own Instagram pages, just the way that this works.
Okay, so I think I'm gonna just, let me start with the lazy part. I don't think it's lazy. Again, the people that are put on GLP-1s, I'm not talking about the black market side, okay? I'm talking about GLP-1s prescribed by the doctor. I really think it's unfair this is very judgmental, and I think it's very unfair to say it's lazy, because we do not know the circumstances of people. And a lot of the people that have gone on GLP-1 through their doctors is not for laziness, it's out of desperation. And as I said, that food noise, to cut the food noise so they have the opportunity to live life and make changes. So I think that's important, not to gaslight someone that uses GLP-1s by defining is lazy. It's not as simple, okay? It's a medication that is used for the right things in the right setting. It can be misused, yes. And a lot of the people that misuse it, by the way, must have a very difficult relationship with their body, because it could be an eating disorder, could be body dysmorphia, and they are feeling that, oh my God, this is going to give me the body I need to be worth something. So again, these conversations for me are I don't like to just say it's lazy, because it's much deeper than that. And that, I think, is nice. It's something we need to offer our fellow human beings, really,
Yeah. So I have a question for anybody who comments instead of something they've learned, or they're on a podcast which is reflecting on what they want to do, which I think a lot of people would be on this quite nervous, not wanting to comment because they're on the fence about it in this community, is what I believe is happening. But when somebody comes on a podcast which is not for them and judges other people, I think that is even bigger problem than facing an eating problem and going, I have this eating problem, what ways can I do? Even if, just say 10 years from now, being on watermelon for a year ends up there's extreme side effects just because of the way watermelon was grown over time, and we don't learn. And we don't know what the future holds, right? But if you're on a pod, there's so many podcasts out there, there's so much information, you've got to think about where your mind is at. And that's a whole nother episode, right? But notice there's a lot of blind people, this is what I say, blind commenting on things like this, where it's none of their business. Move on to a podcast which works for you. If it's not for you, this isn't for you. And this is just something I see generally, because I do think to see the amount of diseases that have gone and just say, yes, there is side effects. I do long term. I, as someone who is chronically sick, know to extend my life is a gift. So we're talking about morbidly obese people here losing hundreds of pounds. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about people who are suicidal because they wake up. I feel depressed just when I put on a few kilos. People that have these coping mechanisms, and just say this extent. These are all things like, this is all like philosophical, but these are all things that a person may be like, you know what, I got an extra 20 years out of my life, and yes, I got the side effects further down, but I'm grateful. I ended up having a child. These are all things that play into a decision. But I think the biggest thing that's come out of here is, if you decide to use it, is that you work with somebody who that's their expertise, that you also focus on lifestyle, that this isn't the only fix. You need to retrain the brain. And then I guess we can now move into, if you do go on this and you get the results you want, you may have to be on this for 20 years, because from what I see when people come off, it's, they've trained their brain, they do better, but a lot of people say they can give it a break, but they jump back on. What are your thoughts there? I gave a lot out there.
No, there is, and I think, in here is the very difference between people that have succeeded on GLP-1s with coaching and people that have been given the medication, lose weight, try to go off because there are side effects, and then they put on about a pound a month on, and that can be quite frustrating. So they end up being on again. So the important part is learn how to eat, right? But you can expect the layman person that never had any interaction with nutrition, was overweight because they grew up in a home where everybody's eating the same way. Maybe it's even genetic and they can't help it. Most of the time it's genetics and the cultural background of the families. Everybody eats, the same, and they eat poorly. So that is something. When that's the case, to change things, you need to re-educate these people. You can't expect them to just be like, I'm on GLP-1s and now I'm going to go online and learn everything I need to know so that when I stop the GLP-1, I will be fine. You need direction.
Yeah. But
Also,
so I was just going to say, I just think this should be awareness on any medication somebody's on. So it's nice to see over in Dr. Brooke Goldner's community, where people come in, they are on a whole lot of medications, but while they're on it, they're working on themselves. Exactly. And so that's like the key message I send out, because I think I think my trauma holds a lot into this, that when I came away from what had happened to me, I'm like, you don't need medication. This is the way, this is all it is. And then you come along and you process and you learn that you're going to have to get nutrients from different places. I have 8 organs missing. Like, I know mine is very like structural, but there's things we don't know. Medicine and nutrition doesn't know everything that's going on in people's bodies. But I think these are really important when we're going along, that if you choose to take something, that's kind of almost, it runs itself, same time every day or every week you take it. Your front line should be nutrition, it should be movement, it should be, how do I not have cholesterol medication? How do I not have so much antidepressant? How do I, all these things to me just seem so like, they're so much better than you traumatizing yourself well. People are, a lot of the time, I remember coming to this community and I loved myself well. So I did raw very nurturingly, like avocado if I wanted, nuts and seeds. They didn't really serve me. I'd eat as much avocado as I want, as much dates, banana. I was not like, no, Sky, you've been sick, you need all these things. That's more trauma on top of my trauma, that when you think now, anytime I've done this, I actually have trauma around some food. I can still struggle with watermelon because I forced so much in thinking it would fix my problems. And I've spoken to Chris Kendall about this. He overate something once and he still can't go back to it. He was about to cross the border and he sat there and ate it, made himself sick. And so you've got trauma. So a lot of people don't understand the value in nurturing yourself well. No matter what medication it is, that will sit in the background. You have to learn to love yourself. That's where all of this is headed, right?
You do need to learn how to love yourself, and you need to learn skills.
Yeah.
Skills to do that, and go back to them. But what was the second part of that comment? Because I think
sorry. Yeah. So let me bring up. Okay, GLP-1 is easy, quick, lazy fix with major side effects and damaging body. Watch The Simpsons, everyone. Just gonna get fat again.
Okay, that was the point. Yeah, they do get you can gain weight when you stop the GLP-1. Again, these things on social media, on TV, that have no nuisance. That's always the issue. That's always the issue when there's a nuisance in the conversation. Hi, Jose. And that is the thing, like, yeah, you can watch The Simpsons, and yeah, The Simpsons, and yes, they will say that you put on weight. Yes, you absolutely do, if you're not and again, if you're not eating well, if you're not coached well, if you're not changing or learning new habits, absolutely. And nobody out here, there are any sensible person out here is saying that that's not the case. But we're also sense we're also saying,
Oh,
I know, it's so adorable.
oh, there's a reverse there, butt in the face.
Of course, they're also saying, you have to, we are saying you have to do this in tandem with the right approach, and the right approach is education, and it's it's taking the time. Thank you. It's taking time to learn about food and what to eat and how to eat well. And I think it's beautiful to actually have the opportunity to do that. As I said, without the food noise and the constant,
True.
you have much more space to learn. So yeah, it's not as simple as you stop the medication, you put on weight. You stop the medication, you put on weight if you don't do the right things. But while you're on the medication and you learn the right things, then um then okay, sweetie, can we do this later?
So also when you stop it, and these behaviors have been learnt from such a young age as well, when your insulin rises in your body, the hormones change, is your inner voice is literally being built from a young age. If that's the family you live in and you are overweight, to eat. No, my pain's not going to stop until I eat, however they're managing. And so when you switch that back on, that's a lot to deal with. So I guess that's why you need a doctor as well. Maybe you lower it. You want to definitely lower it slowly. Don't just pull the rug out from underneath. It's there's so much there. I did want to say that on this part of my healing journey, and I didn't even realize that I've been trying to get into ketosis for about a year, because I'm reposting some of my old videos, and that works really well for me. It increases GLP-1, and that's not why I did it. I've just defaulted there because I have less symptoms. I feel better, and my mast cell activation syndrome is basically completely under control. But I do also feel that I have like that ADHD brain or a trauma brain, and there is no talk. So with what I do, and it's not for everybody, and I would say that I feel like I've trained myself very well when it comes to foods, and this is my journey, is there's no chatter. There's no, when I put sugar in again on the weekend, as I said to you, my brain runs at 100 miles an hour, and I can't process it. My immune system goes off. I'm in pain everywhere. And I mean, the body's processes are complicated, but I love my personality loves the calm. And there may be people out there that their whole life starts thriving because they've microdosed a GLP-1. They've got themselves under control, and we don't know, people may end up living longer. But I will say, for me, having quiet has been so beautiful in my life. Is ketosis enough for, on parallel? Not that that's my goal, that's not where I'm at, but like, is that something that people can use instead?
Yeah, ketosis is fantastic if you do it properly and you know how to fast. And again, for us women especially, the conversation around our hormones and supporting our hormones goes very much hand in hand with how to fast. Fasting when we are having fasting when we are trying to, well, we are in luteal phase, for example, when we need to have more progesterone, is something that you need to do wisely. You need to do less. You need to have more carbs so that you can bleed. Fasting when you are starting your cycle, then you need less sugar, right? And it's when your estrogen is going to start coming up, and estrogen likes low glucose. So these conversations are important. You can't do the same thing all the time. Us women need to adjust to our cycle. That's really important. Does it get easier when you are in menopause? Yes, in a way it does, because now you're not bleeding anymore. So you are able to support progesterone in a different way, meaning you can do 2 days where you are in higher ketosis. So you are stopping the hunger signals by going into fat burn. And then one day where you're actually bringing in a little bit more nature's carbs, like sweet potatoes or
Yeah.
bananas or mango, and you're supporting insulin levels, you're supporting glucose levels going up, so you have more support for progesterone. And you would do this, on the ebbs and flows, on the ebbs and flows.
Speaking of hormones, is someone hormonal there?
Yes, one is kicking the other's butt. And there are three of them. So, but the girl is very quiet. The boys are a little bit naughty. And basically, yeah, you have, you support your hormones, and in menopause it becomes a little bit easier, of course. But when you are taking, when you are taking, somebody just said, that's a very good comment here.
It's very common.
Yeah, and it's very common. This is a reality. I was saying you have side effects that will last for you. So you can do this if you have the right team around you, if you have the right support. But now we have to also, we are talking in theory, but like, we said, if you are in a family that is overall obese, eating the same way, poorly, contributing to weight gain and so on, the options these families are given are the stomach band, the operation.
Yeah.
They have they're given diets the whole time, and unless you work with a really good dietitian, I've seen dietitians that are horrific, where still literally telling people to go and have 50 grams of bread. It's like, why don't we just remove the bread and go for the whole grains and actually teach people how to eat these things, instead of having breads, which actually will raise their glucose level, will make them more addicted. Like, and also you're starting to create another issue here, where they're going to be fixated about the calories they eat. What if we give them more plants and we don't count calories? So we maximize volume eating through low calorie food, like vegetables, and then we add the more calorie intense ones like fruit and whole grains, if you're not fully raw, beans and pulses, which then contribute to helping maintaining and sustaining their weight loss in a natural way. You can do that if you are taking the whole family and educating all of them. Because now imagine this, imagine that they only given these options, they will always go for the easy option, because changing habits is really, really hard. This is what people don't understand. Changing your diet is hard, because there is an emotional attachment to the way that you eaten. There is an emotional attachment to you belonging to a family that eats in a certain way. Because when we have changed our diets for the reasons that we had, mostly for healing, we may have been lucky, maybe that our family accepted it, but a lot of people are not as lucky. They feel shunned and left out. And you have to have a really strong character to hold on to your horses and be like, I am going to eat this way because I want to be well. And people are going to start respecting it only after a while. People always will make comments, will always try to make you feel bad, will always try to make you feel weird, or not support. And if you're not strong, and if your attachment to the family setup is so strong for your own identity, change is even harder. So imagine that, like, that is a real case scenario for so many people.
What about the physiological side to it as well? So most of the genetics which are switched on in our body are epigenetics, right? So microbiome plays this huge role. You're born with a microbiome. Your microbiome's fed from a young age. So all your gene sequencing, most of it, is controlled by this microbiome, which you have this psychological, the brain gut access too. So when you switch your diet, it's not just this comfort and emotion and the people around you, there's a physiological drive to go back to what you were born with. What was established over generations is so strong. So there's so many components. And when I think about what you're saying, is the most I've ever, if we're talking about just weight here, ever wanted to lose in my life, when I've had, gone up a few kilos, is a couple of kilos. And that's a minefield. Like, how do people cope with that? And what we're saying is the GLP-1 here can help you train your body. It's got to all be coming back to training your body. So, yeah.
What?
Someone wants you. I think that's what's going on. Someone's giving you a compliment. But do you want to talk? Because I see this a lot. I see a lot of people comment everywhere or do posts on they tried. This is what happens with medication though, is before you take a medication, you will get given a pamphlet. I highly recommend that you read it. And most of them will say in extreme circumstances may cause death. If you don't think about that applying to you, you're not just because it's a small case, you are in that sample there. Then go, stomach all the problems is you are risking. There you go. You are risking these things. But a lot of people, as I said, are happy to risk them. But don't complain. I'm not saying this person's complaining, they're just sharing, is don't afterwards go destroy this. There's a lot listed on these pamphlets.
Oh, so much. I mean, stomach issues, it's almost like a small one, even if it's not. It is quite, okay, I think we have to go back to the fact that it's quite, I'm getting distracted between cats and
I'm removing them. It's just they're not coming off the screen, so I'll drop this.
So I think the problem here is the list of side effects for any drugs is so intense that a lot of the times, because we know that the efficacy and safety of a drug is generally okay, we forget about the side effects. And even doctors forget sometimes to tell their patients, which is something else, right? But we need to have full awareness so that we know what we're getting ourselves into. That's very, very important. Sometimes, however, the doctors are good. Some doctors are amazing, and they will tell you exactly what's going on and what the risks are. And if they do, that's really appreciated.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of be aware, right? Not just read it on the pamphlet when it happens. I mean, remember when I was taking the vaginal estriol?
Yeah.
And the reaction?
Yep.
I looked at all the things that can happen before, but all I could find is, because it's a weaker form of estrogen, then no problem, like no issues in the body generally. But I'm such a high absorber that I had the one side effect that was like at the bottom of the pamphlet, which I didn't bother reading, right? And I wish I had. I wish I had read it.
So on this, I'm very passionate about always mentioning this because it made me take responsibility for a huge part of what happened to me. Yes, medication, drugs, and surgery kept me alive many times, have saved my life. But if I sit in a space of being like, all these, because a lot of probably my emotional blunting was a whole lot of psychiatric meds. Yes, I was injected with some in psychiatric units, but there's a much less chance of ending up in a psychiatric unit if you're not taking medications. I feel like it was an underpinning. But I take full responsibility. If you're an adult and you choose to take, and I think I actually think that's the first step before somebody decides about the benefits of a drug. You should accept that you could be one of these people in a study that gets every side effect. And then if you're okay with accepting that, you move on to the next stage. And that's essentially why they should be the last resort. But a huge thing for me, because a lot of people can get angry with all the medications I've had in my system. And I'm like, I'm a consenting adult. And when I haven't been consenting, it literally saved my life. Like I've been out and it saved my life. And I think that's a topic which you don't want to stay in victimhood because, the higher level of healing is the soul and spirit. This is where we want to get to, right? Is I don't heal because of a drug. I don't heal because of raw foods. I heal because I sit in space and I have got to a point of finding love in myself. And that's huge, however you get there. But back to the side effects is I think we should need to go into a medical clinician and they say, you've got high cholesterol. If you accept that you could blah, 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 and they say, yes, okay, yes, there's a high chance that you'll get this result from it. Like, I think that would run a lot better.
It would, but at the same time, the thing is that when they do the studies, they say, okay, the risk and the benefits, what is that weighing what?
True.
And the truth is, like, if you have someone with high cholesterol, whether it's genetic or because of lifestyle, and you know that they are close to getting a heart problem, that medicine, even if it's statins and it comes with a lot of side effects. But by the way, there are so many different statins now, and they're not all, going to do the same thing. They don't have the same side effects. They're actually getting better. And I'm somebody that, like you, I when I started my journey into this space, I was like, drugs, no.
Yep.
Because even in naturopathy, you just look at the natural stuff, but there's such a thing as natural fallacy as well. Not everything that is natural is going to be good for you, and not or efficient, or or save your life, or you don't have time. Sometimes you don't have time. You need to take a drug that maybe has side effects, but it can save your life.
Yes.
So we have to be realistic. I feel like we always have this in medicine and science. Even if you do it from a naturopathic perspective, there are nuisances that are so important. Because the moment you understand that, yes, you can take a herb, but you can do that wrong and you can get poisoned by the herb. That, yes, you can take a medication and it can save your life, and you don't have to even maybe stay on it for forever. You have to just work on changing your habits so that you can then reverse, as well as find health, and actually learn about health. And it's the opportunity that you're given. And then there are a lot of people, as I said before, they don't have the structure, the courage, or whatever to change their lifestyle, and they will have to be on these medications because it's the difference between having a stroke or not, right? Or
100%.
Day or not. Eventually there are side effects, and that could be dementia, it could be Parkinson's, it could be whatever. But humans are also very bad at thinking about the future, by the way. Like, they did this experiment where they were looking at the brain and what lit up when they were asked certain questions, and people that were asked about questions in the future about themselves, like imagining themselves in the future, the brain was not able to even go there. Like, it didn't light up certain pathways. And then when they talked about the present so humans are generally bad at that. Some of us are blessed or cursed, I'm not sure, to think about these things. And for me and you, we are thinking an investment, right? Like, I think it probably comes with the fact that we are so aware that our time on earth is not guaranteed. Like, everybody wants to extend their lifespan as much as they can. And we have, through science, by the way, and medication, allowed a lot of people to live longer.
Yes.
But we have, because of the way that we had to face disease and health, we also came to the conclusion, it's like, I don't want to live longer if I'm living in poorer health. So for us, it became, for you, obviously, it's a lot of different circumstances, much. Pardon me.
You.
I do love cats, but their hair does bother me. So for you, it's very different because obviously you had like medical extremes. So you need to take care of yourself, because otherwise you're just gonna be sick, and being sick is terrible. And it's not even about how long you live, but how well you live. For me, it was like, I have been sick. I know what it feels like. I managed to reverse diabetes. So my aim here is, I know I can make myself healthy or sick, and I'm going to choose to be healthy, because when I'm healthy, I can do everything I love. I can do work. I can meet friends. I can look after animals, which I love doing. I can prepare food, which I love doing. I mean, I can do all the things that bring me joy, and so why would I want to be sick? And I think that is the difference, between knowing that we can live such a long life, and medication has made that possible, but then also taking responsibility. And it's a very big conversation. And this is why when we have these talks on here, I really love that we bring the nuisance and the caveats in, because I hear way too much online, these one statements,
Yes. I agree. I don't know what year it was implemented, but I remember seeing this study about how back in Neanderthal times and in our past is adults were only living till about 30, just before 30, right? Before modern medicine, doctors and hospitals were implemented, we got to 35. Okay. Once modern medicine, and this includes things like using soap on hands, antibiotics, all of what we know, surgeries, you can see the change.
Yeah.
So as much as people in the space of natural healing do not, that the people who don't agree, that really brought up something for me. Because in all of this time we only got like 5 years. All the and this doctor, I think it was Dr. Ids, was saying is, these people eating organic from the land, a lot of them were farming, and they still only got up to 35 years as the average age. And as soon as we implemented, it spread like wildfire as what was implemented. But as you can see, people are living longer. That's actually a really important question, I think.
Yeah. So nobody ever should push a medication on anybody. So we are not promoting GLP-1s as the saviors of anything here. So this is a conversation you have to have with your doctor. And as we said, I don't know if you listened from the beginning. At the beginning, we did talk about the fact that if before you go on any medication, you need to review your lifestyle and your diet and everything that can contribute to you not being able to lose the weight. And therefore, the most important thing is understanding if you can do this without the medication. Also, where are you with your health, right? If you are morbidly obese and this is compromising a lot of the other things, and losing weight quickly is actually needed because you need to lower your blood pressure, reverse cardiovascular health disease, and reverse diabetes because it has consequences, then your doctor will suggest GLP-1. Should also give you, of course, the tools to then change your lifestyle, change your diet, and making sure that you are taking responsibility so that you at some point will be able to get off the GLP-1 and not go back to step one. So this is really where the conversation is not one that we can have online as if we were having a consultation, because it's a person by person, but it is a good question. So to answer your question like short, no, nobody's saying you should go on GLP-1. So if you don't need it, please don't. What we are saying is, however, this is a conversation to have with your doctor. And if anybody here has a specific circumstance where they need to do something and the doctor deems that going on GLP-1 will be the better way to achieve the results and prevent damage from other things, from other ailments that you might have, then this might be a temporary solution, and hopefully help you then restructure and create new habits. This is what I think our stance is going to be here.
Yeah, the last thing I ever want to do is shame somebody when there's an option to save their life. And I just don't know everybody's situation. And once again, if you look at my past on there's so many medications there, they served a purpose at that time. I'm grateful for that. I'm even grateful for the strength I've learned, that I can overcome things and do things naturally. But different times, different states of mind. And the last thing we want to do is shame somebody as if, there's an extreme circumstance and any medication can save somebody's life. I think that's a really important thing to think about as well. Was there anything we didn't cover on this that you wanted to talk on?
No, I think we actually covered really the most important things about GLP-1. I think, again, the questions about putting on weight after, yes, it can happen. But we discussed how we approach this, right? So
yeah.
I
just wanted to quickly cover again that some of the ways that the body makes GLP-1 naturally is to basically fiber, protein, but also volume eating, because stretching the stomach. Is there any others that are naturally
working out, I mean, again, when you work out and you therefore have balance in your body and you have a good microbiome, you will make GLP-1s naturally, with the help of your microbiome. I think really, like everything that we talk about all the time, the first thing is to make sure that if you are in a state of dysbiosis, meaning you have a poor gut health because you don't have a good balance between good and bad bacteria, fix the gut first, right?
100%.
And then I promise you the results will be amazing. It takes time, it takes patience. You need to know where to start from. And again, do not go online and listen to people that tell you to go on a carnivore diet to fix your digestive issues. If you are reacting to fiber, it's because you really have dysbiosis, and you have to train your gut to learn how to work with fiber when it comes in. You need to grow the population of good bacteria, because every single strain of bacteria will work with a different food, with a different fiber kind. So, those are things that you might really want to do. I
I was
found.
just going to say on the fiber too, you can't, because someone may grow a strain of bacteria in their gut by eating a certain food, but bacteria that's already in there will play a part on how much somebody else who goes, oh, I'll just eat yogurt, or like coconut yogurt, will play a part. So it's there's different things for different people.
I think we also have to say that, by the way, you get the microbiome of the people you live with.
Yes.
And in fact, there's science that shows if you are, and this they did it in mice, if you transplant the microbiome of a skinny mouse in a fat
Yes.
obese mouse, the obese mouse was losing weight, and vice versa was true as well. We get the microbiome from our pets. If you have a dog or cats, they are going to, and that comes also with the critters like parasites. So make sure that you cleanse your. That's when I'm like, that's a good cleanse. You want to deworm. Please deworm. And you can use amazing things like black walnuts, for example, to deworm, and those are natural remedies that work. And Dr. Moore says actually the whole shebangs of a nice herbal remedies for cleansing parasites. So you do that because they are part of the microbiome. The microbiome is everything.
Yeah.
It's fungi, it's bacteria, it's parasites. But when we need to keep like a homeostasis in there, we want to keep the right good bacteria in there. So making sure you have that. Something else you can do to help because obviously we need also resistant starches, and a lot of us in the raw food space don't really get them. They're mostly things like reheating potatoes, for example, reheating grains. That will make the starch more resistant, which means you're absorbing it less quickly, and it's changed the structure of the fiber. But Dr. Bolzowitz has a product called 38 Terra. We're not sponsored. When he came out with it, he sent me some samples, and I must say I was really, really impressed. So
Interesting.
they are powder foam. I used one. He sent me two, very generous of him. So they were full packs. I used one straight away, really liked it. Then I took a break, and I started using the other one now, and I love it. It's so it really helps because obviously I don't really eat. I'm not fully raw all the time. I'm 95%. Well, I eat tofu every day, so I'm not fully raw. I'm 99%, but occasionally I will have a sweet potato or quinoa, like that is maybe cool and then reheated.
Yeah.
But I don't have it often. I haven't had it in months actually. I normally have it in winter because I need a little bit something deeper. But so I want to get the resistant starches, and so I found that with the 38 Terra, I do get them, and they actually have really helped me with my bowel movements.
So also when it comes to bananas at different stages, don't they have different levels of resistant starch? Because what I wasn't listening to in my body when I was getting high into the fruits was the fact that sometimes I was craving different levels of bananas. as in different ripeness. And I had to get back to listening to my body again. And you notice most people who don't eat raw will not eat very sweet bananas. They'll prefer a little bit of green through it. And I just think we are going into feeding the microbiome. But on the microbiome and doctors, there's a doctor speaking about how when someone comes in with chronic illness or a chronic disease, he will put gloves on. When a top athlete comes in or somebody with extraordinary health, he will not wear gloves. He will also not let his children play on the wheelchairs at airports. He's like, that's the ultimate place where my child is never going. And so we are learning that we're picking up the microbiome everywhere at all times. Also, there is just going through some of the things you said on the carnivore diet, there is a study now, because we didn't have studies before, showing that, because there's plenty of plant-based, but there's not carnivore, showing that initially you may get a great response from carnivore, but long-term the effects are not there. And then moving on to the parasite topic that you were talking about is I'm reposting a lot of videos right now, and I'm about to repost Marcus and Larissa. They're a couple who parasite cleanse together. Otherwise, the parasites will cross. It was like somehow I got into parasites. This is back when I was in New York and LA. And then I would do one with Jillian, who shares when she started, I think, having, is it wormwood or black walnut?
Yeah, they normally do together. They do solutions for parasite cleanses and generally wormwood and black walnut together.
She talks about that.
Yeah.
She's like, the bath or whatever was full of it. She was like, I didn't want it. She talks about, she's like, she goes, I didn't want to sleep at night. I felt so disgusted by my own body. So they're about to drop as well. I just gave a whole lot of information there. That there's things as you were talking that were just coming up.
No, but it's brilliant. Oh, thank you so much. Somebody made a nice comment. Yeah, it's true. It's nice to have someone that does the same thing as you. I think that has become, we're going to talk about relationships for a second here, but it's become so important to me to think about who is in my life, and especially if I reconsider at some point having a partner, I really think it's so important to have the same lifestyle. And I never thought that I would care if the person would be vegan or not, but actually I think now at this point in my life I completely would.
When I was first getting well, I was so grateful that I didn't have a partner, because what I worked out, and I never thought about this before, is I can work on myself, I can do good choices, I can calm my system, I can start getting well. But if you lose a lot of control on your healing once you join up with somebody, because what I was thinking, if they had a bad day at work or they have children from another relationship and there's things going on, they then become my things. So I've spent a lot of time thinking how much I'm grateful that I could had more control, over my space. But yes, that's a huge topic, right? Whoever you're with, you also have their microbiome. Or it's affecting you're taking parts, but it's also playing into yours. So
yeah. No, you're exchanging everything just with a little kiss.
Yeah,
y'all don't go kissing anybody. Just saying.
Don't go kissing anybody whose microbiome you don't want.
Nope. Sorry. Sorry, before we kiss, stool test. Then we can talk.
Oh, also, I did want to ask, what are your thoughts? Because I've seen so many studies on this implantation of stool. Many diseases going, many lifestyle diseases going. The fat rat versus someone obese and it makes the rat fat. Someone with especially they are psychiatric illness, but they're more behavioral in the sense of autism, ADHD, and there's something else that you implant into a person. I think they've got to this stage, and they will pick up, unfortunately, in the background, that trait, not just the skinniness. What are your thoughts? Is this something better to choose than a GLP-1?
So a fecal transplant is not widely used because it's not the simplest thing to do, I guess. They don't do it in public hospitals, only private clinics do. But there was during the 2020, the thing in 2020, Dr. Sabine Hazen. She's based in California. She's amazing. She actually wrote a book called Let's Talk Shit.
I love it.
Brilliant. And I had her on my podcast twice. She's amazing. But she was
Oh,
doing a lot of experiments with COVID and fecal transplant, because she noticed that the people that didn't have enough of the bifidum bacteria, they were subjects to getting sicker. And the people that actually had more bifidum bacteria into the gut, they didn't even get affected, even though they have had COVID. So she was the first doctor who actually found that the COVID virus was in the gut. Okay. Um, they didn't. They didn't think that that's what it lies, and that's why she started studying the bifidum bacteria. So she did quite a few transplants, and because she serves a lot of celebrities that could pay the money, she mentioned that she has done quite a few to people that were celebrities that were sick, and they did get better. So she actually, yeah, she's been on the forefront of it to talk about this with the FDA as well, because a lot of these procedures are not FDA approved. And I mean, if you think about it, they're not as monetarily convenient for, yeah, for, for big pharma, because ultimately,
you can't patent shit.
no. And and the people that will make the money are the people that are doing the procedures, right? And if there is, I don't know if there is even a stool bank, or there is somebody that donate. I think there's a stool bank, obviously. But yeah, so aside from them, big pharma is not making money, so they're not going to be really.
Sorry,
What is that?
no, you don't want to read it.
Was it?
Not appropriate. I just, yeah.
What is wrong with people? Guys, again, maybe you want to eat some, I don't know, kefir. This is a microbiome issue. So
True, gut brain
you
axis. We
can't
got to
be
get
that
that in.
dumb, right?
We got to get
Yeah.
that like tea.
Yes. I mean, you can't be sharing these horrible things and have a brain. I think we need a good bacteria reset. Um, so yeah, so she found out all this. So I think transplants are really could be the future, and I think they are definitely less invasive in a way, because you are it is not the nicest thing to think about. It's not like it's a very interesting procedure. um, I'm sure that is much more different than what people are imagining this looking like. So it's not like you're getting a pile of poop and you put it in. It's like you basically looking at the stools. You are retracting the microbiome and replanting that. You're not just putting poop in other people's butt. So it's
Can I
definitely,
also ask? I
yeah.
haven't read extensively on these studies. I've only seen a couple, but what are does it long term stay? So just say,
Good question.
yeah, like as in like if someone's slow, because at the start your behavior is going to change because you're going to be attracted. Just say this person ate a lot of coconut yogurt, you'll start being drawn to that. But over time, I feel it's so deeply ingrained, the Kit Kats will start to come back.
This is actually where, again, with every procedure that we do, the education and the support is so needed, because actually you let's say that you get a transplant, you are going to have already a really good starting point here from here
Yeah.
on, because you are going to be craving what the microbiome in your gut. But the microbiome is not a static um, thing in your it's not a static environment. It's it changes all the time. So what you feed it will make it thrive. So of course, if you're adding on, if you're stopping eating coconut yogurt, yeah, you lose the microbiome that loves the coconut yogurt. If you stop eating the carrots, you're gonna lose the microbiome. However, if you are now given the opportunity to have a richer, better microbiome, and the diet that goes with it, so high fiber food, and you're gonna get in all the veggies and the healthy fats, and you're gonna get the nuts and the seeds and whatever, you are now going to have this amazing population of the microbiome that continues and thrives, because now you have already regulated what was missing before. So yeah, you can keep it long term, but the upkeeping is like having your own little tamagotchi. Was it?
I
Yeah,
like
in your
that analogy. Yeah, the
yeah.
little Tamagotchi.
So you
The
gotta
little,
keep it
yeah,
alive, right?
that's a good way to look at it. All right, I feel like we've given you guys lots of literal food for thought there, like lots of different information. And I think the biggest thing that still comes out of it to me is there's not one set way. We're not telling you what to do. We're just having the conversation and putting the information out there. So thank you, Chantal.
Thank you. That was a good one today.
It was. So we'll be back next week with another topic. If there's something you want us to talk about, please send us an email and we can talk on it. Yes, someone said please like, share, and support. Yes, 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 all of that. Yeah.
Oh, I need to say something actually. Maybe we can share it here. So tomorrow we are starting a new 1 week series on Instagram with two of my colleagues from Nama, Kim and Darian. So there's a chance for people to win the Nama J2 by
Ooh.
by just listening to the reels, liking, sharing, telling people. So it's amazing. And for the whole week you get also a special discount of $90 if you want to buy your own J2. So we have that going, so maybe we can share with people. It's starting tomorrow.
And I will say many times I literally have thought in my head, because I use the Nama and I juice and I have the top portion of my digestive tract missing. There's things that come to me where I literally will sit there and be like, this is saving my life right now. Without this, because people ask me, what tool do I buy? I can do without a dehydrator. I can even do without a blender. But when my gut gets into gastroparesis or freezes, or even emotionally, just clarity from having a lot of hydration, I will 100% say that the Nama, and I am affiliated, but go and, because I love it, but definitely go follow Chantal, go like those reels, juicing can help with healing in so many different ways. So
good. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not trying to steal the affiliation.
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm so not like that. I'm more like, I don't push it. I'm just like, yeah, no, you go do that. Different times, different things. All right, guys. Yeah, and let us know any topics you want us to talk about.
Bye, guys. Bye, Sky.
Bye.